And we're live. It is Thursday night, and there's no presidential debate yet, so you can watch Plausible Deniability. I'm Michael Cross.
Johnny Payne.
There we
and
go.
Special guest.
It's
Aidyn Cross.
Aidyn. It's Aidyn. Now, if anyone does not know Aidyn, where have you been?
I'm still trying to figure out who you are.
We are. He is our showrunner.
Who is
and
everybody?
DM for our regular Red Dirt D&D. He plays on Mysteries of Beatrix. Plausible Deniability. Oh, I've still got my audio going. Hold on a second. I got to pause it.
Johnny.
I'm like, why am I hearing myself? All right. Right. So, and he's on Mysteries of Beatrix. And he's the DM for Red Dirt Outlaws.
Well, I could have said tonight if one show didn't release over the past week. I've been on every show, but now that's just not true. As you know, we have a certain Pathfinder podcast you can check out now.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I've been trying to push that a lot.
Wayfinder Legends.
Wayfinder
is now
Legends.
Out.
Yeah.
Very, very, very excited about that.
And Michael, you said there's no debate tonight.
No, I said there's no debate right now.
I feel like there's going to be much debate in this episode.
I don't think so.
Okay.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Always we talk about other things and everything. Now, first off, have you seen The Acolyte since? I know you guys hated episode 3. Have you seen it since then, Johnny?
You said you guys.
Yeah. Well, you have you?
Yeah. No, we stopped watching it on the 3rd episode.
I know.
I've watched a lot of clips of it, and I've heard a lot of stuff about it, and it didn't seem like it was anything I'm missing. I'm cool.
It's amazing. Episode 4 and 5 are amazing, especially because the one complaint you constantly have about Star Wars characters.
No, in episode 5, she'll get back up. She'll be laying in a bed just fine in the hospital.
Well, she died in episode 5, so I doubt that.
Stabbing, or episode 6,
She's
whatever.
not the only one.
No, I know I know.
And no, I say okay. Yeah. If they do come back, then fine. But
if they come back, that's the last straw. No, that's the joke meme right now. Is it shows her with all the holes in her, and then it shows the beginning of the next episode, and she's sitting up in a hospital bed smiling.
We'll see.
But
it didn't look like it.
Now I'm at peace with not watching it. I might binge everything at once on a weekend once it's all out. Yeah. We'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Everything
isn't for everyone.
Yeah, I just don't think you can really truly judge a thing from like just 3 episodes. I think you do have to kind of to get it. I mean, especially, I think a director has to be given time to follow through with their story.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, if we judged, Aidyn's, story arc that we're going through right now after just 1, 2, or 3 episodes,
yeah.
So, but now we've gotten really into it, and I'm like, this is awesome. So if you guys haven't checked out Red Dirt D&D recently, you should, because Aidyn's running it has been phenomenal. Great story.
Johnny did a better job than I did. I haven't watched a single episode of Acolyte. I know nothing
but
about
you want
it.
to.
No, I don't really. I
okay.
don't. So my whole thing is I'm kind of sick of Star Wars and Marvel. I'm done with them. I'm just kind of not watching any of it anymore.
Marvel should have ended when Tony snapped.
What would you suggest, Aidyn? What would you suggest watching right now?
Oh gosh, you caught me off guard. Of course, I've been enjoying it. I think just released its last episode was Delicious in Dungeon, the anime.
We've started watching Delicious in Dungeon.
Delicious in Dungeon is great. It's just a party going into a dungeon, eating things in the dungeon.
Yeah. And whoever wrote it, I mean, they have played Dungeons and Dragons because it is Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah.
I haven't watched the final episode of Doctor Who yet, but it's been a fun season. I wouldn't say it's been the most amazing written season ever. There's definitely been some flaws, but it's been fun. It's been a fun season.
And the final episode is good.
And we are back to fun with Doctor Who, which is what I love about it.
The final episode is very good. I really enjoyed it. So,
other than that, I don't know if there's anything else I've been watching recently.
Apparently, Shenanigans Unplugged is still watching The Expanse. What are they?
What is that?
Are they season
The Expanse?
8, season 9? Whatever they on season right now.
It's too
I've
many
been going back and
seasons.
doing rewatches and stuff too, like Battlestar Galactica rewatch. I'm really itching to go back and watch some Matt Smith. Who?
Ooh, Matt Smith, who is so good.
Yeah, I just found out that
I missed them all.
Tubi has all the classic Doctor Who's.
Tubi has all classic Doctor Who.
Yes, and I mean all the
Oh.
newly animated, the ones, the lost episodes that they've animated. Tubi has those.
Mhm.
So, it's been 15 years since I watched every episode of Doctor Who. We might have to revisit that. So,
Oh,
yeah. My Who
That'd be
panel
some-
was fantastic. All my panels were great.
My panels were pretty good.
Aidyn had his first all alone panel where he didn't have any of us there with him, and he did a great job.
He left the nest.
Yeah.
It was a very fun panel. Mostly just interactive role playing and RPGs.
Yeah.
Which we had a very I don't know who did like the separation of people and like getting diverse people from different aspects of like things for the SoonerCon panels, but there were so many like good aspects of like different RPG type things.
Yeah.
Like we had a LARPer, we had an author, we had someone who did more of a casual pop culture podcast. We had a cosplayer who was our moderator, but he played he's run D&D before, and he had me, which I run
And
games
we
for
had
entertainment.
Shy, who was a LARPer. I mean,
That's what I was saying. Yeah, LARPer.
Yeah, I mean that's just it was a great panel. It was a great panel.
Yeah.
I think people
SoonerCon
just
was really
sign
good.
up for those, and they kind of like we had the option to sign up for them. I think the universe just put it together, and it was
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
I got your favorite. I heard that your improv panel, you just made stuff up.
They did. It was all like.
I mean,
That's my
yeah.
joke of the episode.
There's a word for it when you make things up. It's
Right.
for your improv, I'll have to remember what that word is. So, anyway, but yeah, good panel. SoonerCon was fantastic this past year. This past weekend, I highly recommend it next year if you guys get a chance. I'm thinking about ReaperCon. Thinking about maybe going to ReaperCon.
You thinking
this
about
year.
ReaperCon?
Yeah, it's
good.
the Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
And in Denton.
ReaperCon is good stuff. It's down the street from Bucky's, and it's very.
It's just down the street from Bucky.
It's
Any
hey,
place
that's worth
in
it.
Texas down the
All
street
right,
from Bucky's?
right there.
It's in every place in Texas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Denton, the home of happiness.
It's put up by Reaper Minis, and so there's lots of painting competitions. There's a great Simon Says painting competition where it's like Simon Says no blue. You got to stop using the color blue. Simon Says fingers only, and you got to put your brushes down and paint your mini with your fingers.
Oh my gosh.
And
That sounds
it's
awesome.
time. Yeah, and every one of their events also is a contest. So that's pretty neat. And then as far as the gaming goes, it's just an ocean of tables running mostly 5e and Pathfinder for League and Society. And then you'll find the offshoot of Kids on Bikes, or there's some friend of the shows that have special games at ReaperCon. They invite you up to their suite, and it's yearly. You only play the game once a year, but you sit down and you play it for 3 or 4 hours late on a Friday night and stuff. But there's all sorts of it's heavy in RPG, not much board gaming.
I'm really sad we didn't get to do that much at SoonerCon. I was really sad we didn't get to
I
do much
enjoyed
of that.
the Epic, but that was pretty much all I got a chance to do in gaming.
Yeah, that's all well, other than the game I ran on Friday, the Saturday was the only gaming I really got to do.
But yeah, it was SoonerCon on Sunday was so busy. The game room was full. The miniature painting tables, 3 major, huge miniature painting tables were full of people painting miniatures on a Sunday.
That's a good day to paint miniatures, honestly. It's the last day of the con, just relaxing, painting minis. That's a very smart idea.
Go visit vendors. And when I talked to Jason with SD Way Gaming, and he said it was one of his best weekends. So
yeah, and Pro Laser Cuts, I didn't check up on them on Sunday, but I'm pretty sure they made really good profits too, because they said Friday they had already paid for the table.
Yeah,
that they
there you go.
So
people were not only showing up to SoonerCon, they were buying from our vendors. So yeah. Way to go. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. But we're here to talk about something else. So MC and Aidyn soft volume at good level. What?
You guys are quiet.
Oh well, unfortunately, I only turn you and Aidyn up.
Do I need to turn myself up more?
Talk to me, Johnny.
Hi, this is Johnny. I have no volume control. I'm winging it on an iPad from the ranch.
Yeah, and that's
Literally
and
live.
I can turn myself up a little bit. Actually, I guess
Hold on.
quite a bit.
How do I get to those settings?
That's really low. Let me see if I can. Well, I really can't without switching out. Yeah. Anyway, well, I'll have to deal with it. I don't know why the volume is so low.
Let me see here. Properties. I guess I'll just go all the way up. All right, how about now?
Yeah.
Am I louder?
Oh,
Is that better?
oh,
Is that better for
gooder.
me too? I sure
Yeah.
got
got
my
better.
phone up. So
I must have got much louder.
You did. Let us know how it is.
okay.
Brooke.
Well, we'll find out in a bit. So I'm going to turn you guys down just a little bit. All right. So talking about the new Players Handbook coming out in 3 months, and they now started dropping little teasers about it, which I'm glad they're doing, because the only idea we had about the new Players Handbook was from the playtest, and we already knew things were going to change from there. I think it was so funny. The best thing in the world was watching people's heads explode on playtesting, because they're going to change all this. It's like, they're playtesting, guys. They're going to change none of it, or all of it, or nothing that you expected.
Yeah. It would be terrible if it was just a different cover of book and different page numbers. There's got to be some change and some new.
And there were. So there are some really good stuff, and they have started dropping some stuff, and I'm very excited about it, because
I didn't pay a lot of attention to the playtest, so let me ask you guys, if y'all did, do you feel like they really took a lot of stuff from that playtest and did or didn't use it based on feedback?
Completely.
Because I know there was some stuff that people were just like, absolutely not, and some stuff that people were just really like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, they're definitely. I think they listened to feedback. I think they did.
Right on.
All things considered, which I know was surprising for WotC. Crazy, they listened to feedback. Yeah. But I think they did genuinely listen to feedback.
Yeah, well, and I know they did, because there were that race of characters that had the animal heads. And, and immediately feedback was, no, that's silly.
Yeah.
Listen, I thought they were kind of a neat concept.
They were mascots.
Yeah, but that was the funny part. It was funny. It wasn't like I was like, this is a really good idea. I was like, this would be hilarious if they put this in the Players Handbook.
And there were other ideas that they immediately. Well, of course, I mean, one of the first ideas was the realization that they were not going to make a new edition. I think the first feedback was, don't do it. We have all these 5e books. Don't go to 6e.
Now, I've brought this up several times, Michael, and we've talked about this. To me, it feels like it was we're going to do a new edition, and everyone said no, and they went, no, we don't mean new edition.
Right.
We mean new. Every word we can give you except the word edition.
I know. I do have to agree with you. I would have to say that.
Yeah, they did pull back on the edition because they decided they weren't going to do it. Because remember, a new edition means every book, throw them out if you're going to play a new.
So here's what happens. Not every book's getting thrown out, and I feel like going from like 3 to 4 to 5, you could use adventures if you just switched up the monsters.
But you still
made them
current.
Yeah. Now the thing they've said, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead on what we're going to discuss, is just one of the core things was unlocking the 2024 edition at your table. So everyone at your table is sitting and playing, and they're all playing the 2014 edition. And someone shows up with a 2024 book. The DM says, yes, you can make your fighter from the 2024 book. 2024 is now unlocked at that table. And if there's ever a rule conflict at the table, 2024 rule wins.
Well, I've heard that too. And here's the thing. It's a book, not a cop. Okay, it's not like Wizards are going to come arrest you if you start using.
Of course not. Yeah, they're not going to be standing over your shoulder and waiting for you to do it right.
So it's like if the DM goes, man, I like this. I heard that too. It's like if you unlock it, you can never go back to 2014.
Well, I agree with what you're saying. So let's go rules hard, not homebrew. In 2014, you can't chug a potion as a bonus action. In 2024, you can. So the minute that one person brings that 2024 book, does the rule for the entire table change, or does it change just for the guy who says, in my book, it says I can?
No, it's
now the whole game has changed for everybody.
Again, this is a Dungeon Master's game. This is not a Wizards of the Coast game. It's not even a player's game. If the DM says, you know what, I'm going to say with a full action to do drink your potion, guess who has the final say? That's the number one rule. So,
and that may have been a bad example because that's the big rule they keep pushing, is because most people homebrew that one. But there's going to be simpler rules like that where my book says I can do it, so that player gets to do it to the other player.
It is still a DM's table. It is still the DM's table. We're not going to say
comes down,
if you get the 2024 book, you now overrule the DM.
I think it comes down to just like I know it's kind of unfortunate for a DM to have to Frankenstein a system, but they're definitely going to have to Frankenstein a system a little bit if they want to use both 5e elements. Obviously, I think it's going to be mostly backwards compatible in most ways, but whenever specific rulings like that happen, it really is going to be a DM choosing what to do.
Right, and here's the thing. So we're going to go through these, but there's only 4 subclasses for the classes that are going to be in the Players Handbook.
Right.
So if you want to play a come on, give me something.
Rune Knight,
Berserker Barbarian,
a Rune Knight, a Blade Singer. Those aren't in the Player's Handbook.
Right.
And I don't know how exactly it's going to be necessarily backwards compatible, because here's the thing. I'm not sure how it's going to do this. I'm sure they'll explain it soon. But for wizards, clerics, druids, and warlocks, there's a little bit of a difference in the 2024 book. Subclasses start at level 3 for everyone.
Ooh.
But in my book, they start at level 1 for this class, so I'm going to play it. That's where the DM's going to be like, I have a headache.
Right.
I feel like what's going to happen is a lot of players that don't have the 2024 stuff yet are going to really learn the 2024 stuff without having the books.
Right.
I think it's just going to be it's just going to naturally, everything becomes that, whether you own the book or not. I'll send you a link to what it says or a screenshot of it or whatever.
And I'm sure it's it's got to be updated. We also can't go, well, it's just fine how it is. Let's never change it. Because that doesn't work.
There are so many problems with normal 5e.
Yeah. And they've
2014 5e, there are problems.
Years. The things that are fixed, they listened. I think Wizards of the Coast really listened over the past 10 years.
But with all this being said about what book is brought to the table and it unlocks it or not, and the DM prerogative, this all stemmed from, is it a new edition?
Which is not.
Yes and no.
It's not.
Yes and no. Well, what Wizards is saying is yes and no. They are not consistent on their answer. It is both yes and no. So right now, we really do not know how far this goes.
Right.
I know they're releasing information, but the issue is the information that we have. We're kind of just putting it together.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is.
The DMG will answer a lot of questions.
Yes. The DMG will answer a lot more questions than the Player's Handbook will. Which is why I'm sad. Why I'm sad that they're releasing not at the same time.
That's the only thing that's disappointing, right? To me, right now, the thing is, although the Monsters Manual is going to come out to February, I would have rather they waited and put them all 3 out at the same time.
Yeah. I would have waited. I would have waited till February
because
for all
that
of
way
this.
I could play. I could get the books in a box set. Are you guys now? You guys know that if you buy all the physical and digital copies, you can save $60. It's $179 for all 3 digital and physical copies through Wizards of the Coast. What do you guys?
Wait, $179 after the saving $60?
Yeah. Which makes sense.
I guess that is the digital and physical,
books,
so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and then $30, so $50.
I feel like other companies would give you a better deal, honestly.
Yeah. Well,
other RPG companies.
I'm just gonna go ahead and buy the digital. I wish they were still doing the
a la carte because I want the physical books, but I don't want all the digital. I just want some of the digital.
You might just wait till they come out in the game stores. Then.
Yeah, and that's what I want to buy the digital copies, and then I'll wait until because I want to also support Edmund Unplugged or Dave or
local game stores where you get the alternate covers too. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah. I do have to say for our audience out there, support your local game stores. Maybe wait to buy the physical copies until the game stores are there, because the game stores, not need your money, but to support them would be really good.
They do need
You
your
know,
money. They do need
they
your
do
money.
need your money.
Buy D&D, play D&D, love D&D, do it your way, do it by the book, do it whatever, have fun, and make lifelong memories with it. If you have a choice to support Wizards of the Coast or your local game store, support your local
game store.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about first.
That was a good debate, Michael. You guys can go on now with the review.
Yeah. So we've got.
Don't worry, Johnny. You're in this. It's okay.
Yeah. I guess so. It's going to be using all of the classes that we know from the base Players Handbook. Each one looks like they got 4 subclasses. Some of them they pulled from Tasha's, and some of them from the original players, and then 3 new ones. We've got the Path of the World Tree Barbarian, the College of Dance Bard, and the Circle of the Sea Druid. Mm-hmm. So some new stuff to look forward to.
So what you're saying is I can make a Michael Jackson bard now.
Yes. Ooh.
Pop star, baby.
Yeah.
That might be the first character I make as a pop star bard.
Your instrument is a microphone. My friend in front of the show, Kinder, he basically plays. If Prince was a bard, it would be his character his DDAL character he's got right now.
Yeah, it's great. Path of the World Tree Barbarian, very Norse. I love it. I don't know why it's taken this long to get a Norse barbarian. Yeah. I guess Giant Barbarian's kind of close to that, but man.
I think that would really tie in well to all their Kobold Press stuff that they're starting to put out.
Yeah.
And
Circle of the Sea Druid. Circle of the Sea Druid makes sense. I don't know why that wasn't an original 5e. I know Coast Druid was, but Sea Druid was not.
Is Circle of the Sea Druid though going to be like Aquaman, where it's like, yeah, that's cool, but
you can always speak to fish.
Talk to fish.
Who was the
You're never going to be asked to go out on an adventure. Superman goes on.
No one's favorite superhero is Aquaman.
So, did you guys read up on weapon mastery?
No, not really. I know a little bit about it, but not really.
Okay.
I know it's gonna make fighters and stuff actually decent. I'm pretty sure, but I don't know the full details on it.
That is exactly what it's doing, because the fighter, personally, the fighter's boring. There's a reason I've never played a straight up non.
You are not playing your fighters correctly in 5e, but you know.
Well, the problem is you've got one weapon that scores your most damage. So you use that one. There's no reason to use other weapons unless you have some kind of... I mean, even if you've got, like, polearm master, what are you going to use? Your polearm. You're never going to grab a greatsword.
Right, but the thing is, like, with the weapon feats, is that there are different types of, like, polearms. You can have a glaive, you can have a spear.
Yes.
But I understand what you mean. Yes, it is just a lot of... It's the stabby game.
Yeah, and it's that over and over and over again.
And it will be... And I think it will be fixed with the new edition.
Completely. So the weapon mastery allows you to basically put some kind of special ability to the weapon you're using. Now, what I love about this is this goes back to the old school of I'm just the fighter that has all these weapons. I've got my greatsword, I've got my battle axe, I've got my daggers, I've got my throwing hammers. You know, there's so many options. And so since you can do things like, for example, the Great Axe has Cleave, which, by the way, is a 2014 rule.
FYI, I think honestly, maybe WotC just looked at Baldur's Gate 3 and just took all the abilities with the weapons in that and just put them in 5e.
More than likely.
That's what I've heard. That's what I heard from like one of my players on Tuesday night. It's like they just made Baldur's Gate mechanics in 5e, and I was like, yeah,
that's very
you're
sound.
Right. Yeah. It's very sound. It's almost like Baldur's Gate has some fun ideas in it.
Oh yeah, and I think so they've got the cleave where you can hit more than one person. They got graze on your greatsword, where even if you miss, you do damage.
That's also a Baldur's Gate 3 mechanic.
There's also a rogue ability with that also. That if
really?
Still do damage. I was gonna listen to a thing in the background when they were doing their little rogue announcement.
Yeah.
And to me, I think it's cool with the rogue. I don't, because you're manipulating a little dagger versus being up there with a sword, and I missed, but somehow did a follow through and still hit you. Yeah, I don't know, but I like the idea of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the Nick allows you to get you get additional multi attack with your, instead of hitting attack once and then attack with a bonus action, you attack twice with one hand with a dagger. So you could do that and also still do your bonus action, or use your bonus action as a rogue to get out of there. If you're not a swashbuckler, you can't just leave. So if you use your bonus action, so
that's neat.
Yeah.
Yes, Yodelay was a very good fighter, Mr. Ruffles.
Yes, but Echo Knight.
Echo Knight fighter. But yeah, I'm liking it, especially with Rogue. I feel like, honestly, like I find fighters fun to play. I have found that rogues unfortunately have gotten a bit more like, as well as roleplay wise, they've gotten kind of stale for me. It's just like, I'm the edgy character again. It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna use Anonymous. Yeah. I'm excited to see how these mechanics change role playing as well. I don't know. They probably won't change role playing too much, but it'll be interesting to see, like, oh, you are a swishy swish rogue, so you're a lot more skilled with just following through with your attacks. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I think Weapon Mastery is a good idea, a really good idea.
Yeah, I think the idea of, like you're saying, subclasses are going to help out a lot with roleplay. The newer ones or the changed ones. I also think, like, I've thought about the Nick thing with rogues, and it's almost like you're a rogue that plays with you're a cat that's playing with its food, because like I come by with a dagger and it's like, oh, you missed. Well, as a bonus action, I'm going to pull the bat dagger. Back and nick your ear as a role play thing, and like I could have done something right there, but instead I just kind of like shaved you a little bit, and
well, and let's
fun mechanics, I think.
So let's go to the rogue, because that's what we're talking about.
And really quickly before we move on, it does kind of remind me of like 3.5 Pathfinder 2E's like fighter feats a little bit, in a way, like where they get their weapon stuff. So I think honestly, also they probably took heavy inspiration from Pathfinder and such with that type of stuff. So that, which is good. Which is what the marshals need.
Yeah, you're leveling up. I think the fact that they have recognized that rogues are a martial class, I think is a big step for them, because they've kind of always put them as different. And it's like, no, they're fighters. They're just different types of fighters. They're not right in your face fighters. They are, as Johnny said, they're cats playing with a mouse. But so when we get to rogue and you've got your Nick, and you're still like, then it's okay, so as you get up to level 5, you can trade in a sneak attack die to do other things. You can poison. You can trip. You can withdraw. You just have to spend one of the dice to do it. And then when you get up to level 14...
Ooh, reliable talent's been moved.
Moved down to 7.
Ooh.
Instead of 11.
Huge. Yeah, I thought it was neat because I was watching one YouTuber that was like, all these things are great, but they're so high level no one ever sees them. So it's cool that some of these things are trickling down into lower levels, more accessible levels. Yeah.
And I think the wild-shaped druid, we'll get to that if we get a chance to, but the wild-shaped druid, where you get to cast spells at like level 18 when you're in your wild shape.
Yeah, has that been brought down?
But to 3.
You can cast spells at level 3 while... Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
Exactly. So I think, Wizards has realized that the average campaign only runs to about level 14. So capstone features in your spells are great, but if you never get to it, what's the use of it? So, but then you get to level 14 and you can trade in sneak attack dice to do a daze, knockout. No, you can knock them unconscious. A 60. You just use 6 of your sneak attack dice, and if they fail,
as a con save, then they're just knocked out.
They're knocked unconscious for a minute. So you rob them blind and then leave.
I kind of like that. I might have to play a rogue again.
Obscure. If you use 3 of your d6s, you can blind your target. I mean, it's pretty phenomenal, the things you can do as a rogue.
I think it's really neat, too, the way they're letting you manipulate these dice in ways that people say rogues are like skill monkeys is the nickname they've gotten. And that's cool off the list of skills off of a table. Having these dice, though, to do mechanics and trigger mechanisms and stuff. And I think that's the real skill, bonus of skills.
Which is
that
looks like what they're doing. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's like what we said is that you get more options in playing the game. You because that's one of the reasons why people like playing spellcasters is because as the round is going through, you're looking through your spell cards. You're going, okay, how can I manipulate this to our advantage? You're looking through your spells. How can I do this? How can I do this? And I think this will allow for the fighters, the rogues, the barbarians, and especially the paladins to do the same thing. To go, okay, what do I want to use? If I've got a guy on the edge of lava, if I've got, I'm going to try and shove him off.
And it looks like only one mechanic was removed, which was blind sense, which is whatever mechanic anyways. 10 feet of blind sight, And it's helpful.
A trade out to where you now get proficiency, your wisdom and charisma saving throws.
Yeah.
Instead of just dexterity and intelligence, I mean, you're up there with monks.
Yeah, that's great. And then I'm assuming anything that's not mentioned is just staying the same way it is,
pretty
basically.
Much, yeah.
So like evasion, sneak attack, other things like that. Not cutting action, but whatever the take half damage one is.
Yes. Yeah.
We're all staying the same, which is cool. But it's just like
dodge.
I think judging from what I know, I think the marshals are going to be a lot more fun in this new edition, which is good.
I think there's going to be more choices. Plus, thieves can't get you an additional language proficiency.
Thieves can't do what?
thieves can't speak another language, but now they can.
Yes, Thieves Can't has not been made. Well, at least it gives you an extra language, but also at the same time, it's just Thieves Can't.
It's still Thieves Can't. I mean,
there's nothing really that much they could have done with that.
At least they give it another little mechanic. They're okay. I can choose
another language
or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah.
So go over to fighters.
Fighters. I'm excited for fighters. I don't know anything about fighters. Tell me about fighters, Mr. Cross.
So. Okay, so they did this last time, or did this in the play test, which was they made the fighting styles feats.
Yep.
Not just something you get. And I don't quite understand why they did that.
So you can have more than one?
Right.
Is it because, and I've always preached feats. It's sort of like, to me, I feel like the stuff they just give you is you have no choice, here's your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And with feats, it's welcome to this level. You can choose from this list. The list may be long, the list may be short, but that way it's really hard to get cookie cutter. It also makes it really fun to play the same character in 2 or 3 different games back to back. It's like, I'm going to play a fighter in this one, but this time I'm taking this subclass and choosing these feats instead of being, instead of just the same.
I agree with that, but it seems like the feats are just those same. It's the same list of fighting styles, so it was the same thing. They're calling them a feat. So
once again, I think that's partially because so that you can use your feat choices to get them, and secondly, so that maybe you can have more than one fighting style. Because currently, as 5e is, you can only have one fighting style.
Right.
Only ever one. So basically, like you can get defense and dueling and I don't know, Great Webmaster or blind fighting. I think it's meant to do that, if that makes sense.
So to harp on it a little bit, like I have in the past, like with Pathfinder 2, you can take that whole line and become really awesome at like that fighting style.
Yeah.
Or you get about a third of the way through it and take another one, and now you're okay at 2 different ones instead of an expert at just one.
Yeah.
And maybe it's opening that, it's doing that to open up more variety or character options.
Yeah. And I know you can. I believe the fighting
style. You get a lot of level 1 now. You get some fun stuff.
Yeah, you get a lot of stuff at level 1.
And level 2, yeah.
Fighting style, you get a feat, and I believe every time you gain a fighter level, you can swap out your choice in case
in case you don't like your fighting style.
Yeah, it's like, especially because I think that's important because there's so many times, especially as a wizard, when you're like, this cantrip isn't working for me. And so when they change it to cantrip expert, where you could change it out, and we'll get to, if we were talking about wizard, I don't know if we will, but you can change it out 1 cantrip every long rest. Anyway, you get second wind.
Which gain more as you level up, which is really nice.
Because
second wind is kind of... Yeah, second wind's kind of a ability in 2014 5e.
Right. and so it's going to be a lot more fun. You get your weapon mastery. You get 3 of them. The other martial classes only get 2. So
Ooh,
fighters
3.
get 3 weapon masteries. Could be a lot of fun with
May
that.
change your chosen weapons each long rest. Oh my gosh, so you really are skilled in every single weapon.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. And when you...
For anyone that's played Diablo 4, it reminds me of the Barbarian, who's literally running around with like a giant axe, a two-handed hammer, and then like double blades on his hips.
Oh,
And then, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want to be bulked
Your
up
arsenal.
in every weapon that, possible.
Mm-hmm. Full arsenal.
In Tactical Mind, you can actually spend a second win to gain a 1d10 to your roll for an ability check.
To a failed ability check, I will say. So that implies that it's after you know the results of the roll.
Exactly. Once you know
after you know the roll's failed, you can add that d10, which is huge considering most abilities in this game in 5e in general usually say before the results are said.
Yeah. I have heard a lot of stuff is changing with this one with 2024, and that you can choose after the roll.
Yeah, which is good. After you know the results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That way you can utilize it.
Yeah. They've got the 4,
which makes sense. I don't understand why it was ever like, oh, you can't do it if the DM says it didn't work or it did work. Like,
yeah. It makes it fun.
Yeah. I want to know.
I've always done it that way, anyways. I don't know anyone who really has.
That's gonna fail. You want to use this?
Yeah. Yeah. I tell my players, I'm like, do you want to use this ability? You do have that.
And that's what happens with Indomitable. I don't know if you guys saw this at level 9.
Indomitable,
when you fail a saving throw, because usually it's just Indomitable, you just re-roll and hopefully you get a higher roll. No, you re-roll and you add the bonus if you're equal to your fighter level.
Ooh, okay.
So all of a sudden, Indomitable becomes, you're not just re-rolling, you're re-rolling and adding more to it. Just ask Billy how important that is.
Yeah, that's really good, but at the same time, I still kind of wish, this is my personal thing, I wish Indomitable was just auto success. I wish it was legendary resistance. I think that's what it should be.
Yeah.
But because of this, it basically is now.
Yeah, because right now,
unless you have a super super low like saving throw to whatever you're doing.
Yeah. So by the way, look up at Battle Master, Relentless Presence. It's Know Your Enemy, where you have to spend a minute. Well, they got rid of that, but now all you do know is immunities, resistance, and vulnerabilities. But you know that instantly. You don't have to spend a minute watching them. How much better would that have been on Xantriox? If we didn't have to wait a minute for Billy to watch Xantriox.
Well, the fight would have gone a lot differently.
Exactly. So
just a little bit.
But yeah, so you can, and I think you can add another weapon mastery.
Yeah. Overall, fighter looks like a lot of fun.
Oh, it does.
Andrew, if you're in the chat, I might have to switch to this when it comes out because
Brooks
2014 fighter is not the most fun. It's fun, but this looks like a lot more fun.
So much more. I think so much more fun once we get to be able to look at those weapon masteries. Once we look at the full version on the page.
I think it just clicked in my brain how backwards compatibility will work for this. Basically, your player says, "Hey, I want to play 2024 fighter," right? So they're playing 2024 fighter. That's it. You choose whether you're running new 5e or old 5e. And maybe there's no mechanic differences, but it looks like it's going to be still very vague a little bit. Like you could choose abilities and stuff from 2024 because that's what you are. But like bonus action drinking a potion probably wouldn't be there if you were playing 2014 5e. Yeah. Is what I'm kind of thinking how this will kind of work.
I think it's going to allow the DM the choice of doing whatever they want to do.
Exactly.
I say it takes a year and it all balances out and it won't matter anymore. Yeah. I see a year after all 3 books are out, everyone's just going to be the buy-in will be there, and it won't. It'll be a rough start, but
it'll be slow. I think.
So head over to Barbarian.
Yep.
Barbarian.
Which I am uber excited about, especially since I just lost my Barbarian. He just graduated to level 20. He's retiring now. He's going to go off
for now.
Waterdeep.
For now, he's retired.
But it gives me an opportunity to make a new Barbarian. I think I might wait till September before I start.
Rage can be maintained by using a bonus action. The first going to be like a saving throw. Interesting. Like it has to, or it still works if you get attacked.
So yeah, so you can. So here's the thing. I guess if you get attacked, you don't have to spend a bonus action or anything like that. So you can maintain it that way. It's
but
when
you can also just use it to maintain a bonus action. That's cool.
Yeah. How many times playing a barbarian have I like turned to my players and said, "Hit me," just so I don't lose my rage? Well, all you have to do is use a bonus action, which is rare anyway for a barbarian to use a bonus action. Most bonus actions used once you use your rage. There's not much that a barbarian uses bonus action for anyway. So
it's back on it comes back on a short rest now. Rage does, which is really nice.
I know. You regain 1 use of rage when you finish a short rest, and that way I mean, especially once you get up to like 4th or 5th level, you're never going to go through your rages. You will always have them, especially you can have them for a full minute. You get your 2 weapon masteries. This is I love danger sets. Every time as playing a barbarian,
no longer need to see our hero effects to gain advantage on deck saves.
I need you to roll a deck save.
Okay, can I see it?
Can I see it? This is always the question. Now it doesn't matter whether you can see, which is just because it's always the answer is always sure. You know, you can see
probably.
It
yeah.
So this way, just take that out, which I think again, Wizards of the Coast was listening. It's silly. There's no. It just you're that quick.
The oddly specific wording is always so silly. It's like you have to be able to see it to get advantage on deck saves. Like, okay.
Which of course, I mean, if you were blind, I think it's mainly if you were blind or something like that. But I think even if you're blinded or deafened, you can still dodge it. So,
which makes sense. I mean, you know, barbarians are the most most like in tune with their like I guess like natural primitive skills. Yeah. So like them just being able to know when things are happening, I think is really fun.
Yeah. You're easily able to dodge out of things.
Yeah.
So we got the Path of the Berserker. Oh, the Path of the Berserker no longer has exhaustion.
That's good. Is it usable now?
Is he finally a usable subclass? I think I might finally use a Berserker. You don't get the extra attack, but you get like extra damage. So there's some things you can do, and it looks like a lot of fun. The Path of the Totem Warrior has changed to the Path of the Wild Heart, and it looks like there's a lot more with the animals you choose. There's a lot more things you can do with it, so you have a little bit more flexibility.
Oh, you just get more skills. It looks like as well at 3rd level.
Yeah. Don't know much about the Path of the World Tree. We're gonna know more about that when the book comes out, but. Dishing out temporary hit points. At later on, you'll be able to teleport around the battlefield. It's kind of cool. Path of the Zealot actually is designed to keep you alive rather than trying to bring you back from the dead, which I think is a great
good.
idea. Yeah.
I think that's better. Yeah,
that's better.
Let's see.
Because personally, as a barbarian, as like a barbarian, usually you don't die at higher levels whenever you would die anyways.
Yeah. And I think it was you've got Forceful Blow.
Oh, they also renamed it's now Wild Heart, I suppose, which is cool.
The Path of the Totem Warrior, which I think is a great idea.
Which is what it's named in Baldur's Gate as well, I believe. It all comes back to Baldur's Gate.
I wonder if because the guys who did Baldur's Gate did a lot of work with Wizards of the Coast. I'm wondering if they would...
Well, okay, so on Tuesday nights, a little bit of tangent here. Tuesday nights for AL, I've been running Descent to Avernus. You can tell both the video game Baldur's Gate 3 and Baldur's Gate Descent to Avernus were written at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, but also it was the old writing team for Wizards before they shafted them all. So it is a different group now, but still interesting to note that things changed, kind of the way Baldur's Gate also was kind of predicting, I suppose. But it's just interesting to see that.
Yeah, they were working so close. I'm wondering if
I wonder if they took inspiration.
Like, hey, what if our guys did this? And the writers at Wizards Coast went, well, that's a great idea. I think I'll do
that's
that.
That's a great idea.
What a fantastic idea. But we got some interesting. You got the Relentless Rage, where Instinctive
Pounce has been moved to 7th level.
Yeah. when you enter your rage, you can use half your speed to jump up to them. Then Relentless Rage, instead of just jumping up to 1 hit point, you jump up to twice your barbarian level of hit points.
Which is good because, oh man, I get hit again. Dead.
I know. And of course, since you haven't lost your rage, you're still
You take half.
taking half. So yeah, it's awesome.
Brutal Strike.
Yeah, that's where you can do a forceful blow or a hamstring blow.
Oh my gosh, it's a gambling mechanic.
Yep.
Oh, I love it.
I think a lot of these are because I mean, if you look at the rogue stuff with the
with the losing the sneak attack damage,
it's gambling because they still have to make a Constitution check or a Dex check or they still have to get out of whatever it is you're doing.
We're adding back the uncertainty back to our D&D games.
Oh, so much so. Rolling. More and more rolling. Everyone wants to play with their click-clack dice.
Math rocks.
Math rocks.
Yeah.
Math rocks!
Yay!
Then persistent rage. Yeah, even if you get knocked unconscious. Improved brutal strike. You can do more damage. And then of course everything's getting these epic boons at level 19.
Yeah, which they have recommended ones, which are cool.
Yeah.
Like one of the epic boon for fighter recommendations: increase one ability score by 1 to a maximum of 30.
I know.
Also, whenever you miss an attack, you can hit instead. Once you use this ability, you can't use it until you started your next turn. Wow, that's actually pretty good.
Just next turn.
Next turn, yeah. So every turn you can at least hit 1 attack.
Oh yeah.
That's fun. What's Barbarian recommended?
The boon of epic proportions starts by allowing you to increase your strength or dexterity by 1 to a maximum of 30. You also get the ability to overcome resistances to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damages with your attacks. So if something else has it, like a Tarrasque.
Or to the Barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
Think big, Michael.
Yeah, well, because it's one of the problems with Tarrasque is they are resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage.
Yeah.
And so... and when you roll a 20 on the die for an attack roll, you get damage equal to the ability score you use to make the attack. So by that time, your strength is probably a 20 or 21 or 22. So you get to add that to your attack.
That's
along
awesome.
with your critical damage. So
that's fun. Do you want to check out one more?
Yes.
Do we have time for one more? What do you want to do, Paladin?
Let's do
I
Paladin.
want to do Paladin. Let's do Paladin.
Yeah. So
Michael Cross. Old Paladin.
I'm not allowed to play Paladin. Maybe I'll be able to play Paladins
No.
now.
It's a new edition. It's a new edition.
It is a new edition. I should be able to play Paladins now. So first off, Lay on Hands is a bonus action.
Yay!
Finally. I don't have to go through going, should I heal you? I don't know. I
don't know. I might need that attack. Yeah. No longer affected by no longer affects diseases. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Which it didn't. That never came up. But at least you can still get rid of poison condition. You can still do that. And later on, when you get to, I think it's 15th level or 14th level. At 14th level, you can lay on hands and get rid of conditions. Actual conditions. Like blinded, deafened, stunned. So.
I wonder how heavy conditions will be in this version.
Oh, Paladin Smite can be used with unarmed strikes. Oh, Monk Paladin builds are going to be so insane.
But Paladin, isn't Smite a spell now instead of
believe
just...
so,
it's a spell that you get to cast automatically when you use your weapon attack.
Yeah, now requires the bonus action which you take immediately after hitting a creature with an attack, which is fine. You know, honestly, being spammed by a bunch of smites a lot of the time can be a bit of a crazy thing. So limiting it is, I think, fine. No, they did not change the range attacks, though. They did not make it range attacks, which is probably good.
Yeah.
I know that was in playtesting there for a little bit.
Fighter.
Yeah. Because range attacks Paladin would just be like, well, I guess I'll be 600 feet away from the combat and shooting divine smites.
I always saw it from a role-playing perspective that you're channeling the power of the holiness through you.
Yeah. And that wouldn't really that really wouldn't work with an arrow.
No.
Yeah.
That's why I love it was always confusing to me why you couldn't do unarmed, why you couldn't be a brawler and just using your smites with your fists. But of course, since it was worded, it's a melee weapon attack. You can never use your smite. So I like the fact that they now say, you know what? Yeah, it's just
Just get holy symbol tattoos across your fists.
yes.
That is awesome. I think
Just go,
I think that's
holy
amazing,
dude.
I might know my part 3 character I might know my part 3 character for Mysteries of Beatrix. Might be a monk paladin.
So they've got the Oath of the Devotion, Oath of Glory, which they pulled from, I think it's Tasha's, and then Ancients and Vengeance. Looks like they've just done some little tweaks to them to make them a little bit better.
Always have Fine Steed prepared, which you can cast once per long rest without using a spell slot. You get your steed.
I'm a steed.
Horse.
You hear that? I'm a steed. She called me a steed. Yes, I think that's a great idea. The only thing I will say, I was a little disappointed, was when you get higher up level that you don't also then automatically get. Is it improved steed? What's the one where you get like a Periton or a great?
Fine Greater Steed.
Fine Greater Steed. I think that should be.
I'm sure that'll be available to them.
Oh, it'll be available. I just think it should be just as a
Oh, they go back to 3rd edition and it could be a Pegasus. That'd be awesome.
You still can, but that's Fine Greater Steed. I just think it should be
Fine Greater Steed.
just
I mean
available.
I understand that. I do agree with you. They probably should have just done that as a higher level ability as well, just like maybe an upgrade for Faithful Steed.
Exactly.
Unless it says something in the description, it might not.
And it doesn't.
Oh wait, that's right. Your mount has an upgrade too with a brand new bespoke stat block for the 2024 Fine Steed. Oh.
Yeah.
Much suited for so basically it's just a default stat block. Is that what it is now?
I think it's going to be So it's probably
Which
going to
is
be a
good.
choice of what kind of you can choose from. But the idea that you'd find Steed and it's a horse. Like, well, that's
so if
kind of boring.
if you want to ride on a giant possum steed, I guess you could.
Giant possum
steed.
It's my awakened possum steed. Yeah, so you get the ability to frighten, and also the ability to take away the frightened condition. Taking an action or a bonus action. I think it was it. I thought I saw that. Maybe I was wrong. But you can take that at 14th level. You can take away the frightened condition through your lay on hands, which again, bonus action. So
it looks like you can do any condition. So if they're paralyzed, stunned,
right,
which is really nice. Or I think aura protection is still there at 6th for Paladin.
Yeah, and the aura protection is going to be different. Like, I think it's going to be a little bit like the Oath of Glory. It was just a 5-foot radius. I think it's now going to match your actual aura of protection.
That makes sense.
10 feet and then 30 feet.
Yeah, that never made sense why you had 2 auras that were different sizes.
Yeah.
They should just be the same aura. Paladin looks like fun. Paladin doesn't look like Paladin looks like one of those classes that had stuff like added, but overall it hasn't really changed much mechanically.
The biggest one is spellcasting at level 1.
Yeah, but still smite at level. Well, I guess prepped divine smite at level 2.
Yeah.
Always prepped. So maybe you get to prep it at 1, but you have to choose it. I don't know.
No,
maybe you just get other smites at that level. I don't know.
Or it might just be a 2nd level spell. Oh no, wait.
Or you might.
I don't know.
Yeah, or you. I don't know. Maybe you'll just have other spells at level 1.
Yeah. So, but the ability to spellcast at level 1 is a great idea. Yeah. We have not heard yet when it comes to melee or to fighting classes the ranger yet. We have not gotten to the ranger yet.
I heard what little I've heard is ranger has changed a lot.
I'm sure it has.
Which I'm excited for. But all of these are very good martial classes. Of course, I'm sure next time you guys will talk about more of the spellcasters. But I think we wanted to kind of keep it to martials around this time.
Exactly. And again, the fact that they're making rogues into a martial class, I think, is a great idea.
I mean, rogues have always been a martial class.
I know,
even if you didn't agree with it, they've always been a martial class.
They have, but I don't feel like Wizards treated them like a martial class. Yeah. Wizards treated them as almost their own separate entity. Almost closer to just bards who can't cast spells.
Yeah, like bards. Yeah, they're like bards with better weapons.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
Or just simply bards who can't cast spells. And
if you're
if you're going to play something that was fun, you'd choose a bard because you get spell casting and But
Yeah.
I think that's the idea of just being a skill and the skill monkey. You're absolutely right, Johnny. I think the fact that that's really where they thought them, but now making them real fighters and skirmishers, I think they're gonna have a lot more fun. What's that, Aiden?
Just Tim talking about playing a paladin monk as well. So I guess we'll be paladin monk buds. Yeah, let's get an oath together to the same god in Mysteries of Beatrix. We're both paladin monks, same monastery. We're gonna be great. It's gonna be amazing. I love that idea.
So have you gone through this, Johnny? How do you feel about just the changes that they're making?
The class changes I'm digging, I'm liking. I know there was some like blow up I heard over the paladin, and I went and looked at it, and it was a lot of people overreacting to the whole smite thing. I'm like, it's just it's not deal
Oh
breaking.
no, you can only do it once per turn.
Yeah, my big questions are coming more with the casters side of it, especially the warlock. But no, I'm liking it. I'm digging it. It's making me really itch for any kind of preview we can get of the DMG, because it's like now here's all the classes.
I'm so excited for the DMG.
Yeah, cool. How is it going to incorporate into the system of the game?
It's the same thing with the Monsters Manual for me as well. As a DM, this is like I think obviously I've told people multiple times, and you can tell by watching this, I did not read any of this beforehand. But whenever Dungeon Master's Guide and Monsters Manual information starts coming out, I will probably be keeping up with that, because that's my cup of tea.
Right. Because
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with it. I'm just sad they're not releasing at the same time. Is my only complaint. Because it's just kind of weird to release only 1/3 of a system.
Yeah,
They
possibly planned to do that, but then things got in the way. And
well, yeah, this was supposed to release like a year ago, wasn't it?
Well, no, it was supposed to be this year because it's the
Was it
10th
this year?
anniversary of
It was all
50th.
the 50th anniversary of D&D. But it was supposed, it was all
All
supposed to
be
come
this
out,
year,
like, in June, and I think there were just issues.
Yeah.
And now I'm excited. I think my biggest excitement about the DMG is everyone's saying it is going to be more readable.
Yeah.
Which there's never been a Dungeon Master's Guide that's readable. It's good for tables, and you flip through it, you find what you need. But when I picked up Ravenloft, for example, or when I picked Eberron up, I read those books cover to cover. They were well-written manuals. And I've read some stuff from Cobalt Press the same way. I've read some manuals that are they're so easy to read. And that's the idea behind the DM's Guide, is that they're going to make it so that it's easier to read for a brand new person who's never played D&D before to pick up the DM's Guide and start reading it.
Yeah.
And then the Monsters Manual.
Is that there's a lot of games out there that will release a DMG. They'll release a core book, and then a year later a player book, maybe that has
a DMG.
And then when they release a DMG, it's like you could just do without it. It's like all it does is it puts more emphasis on smaller things that are mentioned in the core book, and it's like, well, this is just kind of broadening out what they've already talked about. So I'm hoping I'm sure they will. I like a DMG that has, here's new stuff, here's things. Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, combat's covered in the Player's Guide, and combat's covered in this book, so
I think they can do a lot more on exploring
usable
stuff.
content.
I think exploration will be good.
I think exploration is going to be a bigger deal in the DM's Guide, and I like it. What I thought about this also was each one of these, the Player's Handbook is going to have 4 subclasses. So does this open up to, in the next couple of years, putting out a fighter book, a paladin book, this is just a bunch of subclasses. That would be, instead of putting out Tasha's, for example, a Tasha's book which has subclasses for all of your classes, or a Xanathar's which had subclasses for all of your classes, put out a book that is a fighter book and has 8 to 10 subclasses, and maybe some extra weapon masteries and stuff like that. That might be swapped. Put out those books. And if you put them out like they did in 4th edition, where they were just little paperbacks, I'd buy them up, and so would everyone else. And Wizards, you want to make money?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Cyberpunk Red DLCs, where they release them monthly. They release monthly DLCs where they just add on stuff. Of course, those are free. These would probably be charged, but it's still the same effective thing, where it's like, okay, every once in a while we release subclasses for this class and go crazy, have fun.
I I just think
which
it'd
would
be
be
neat
just fun.
to
Yeah, that'd be
really
neat.
get into, and that way you could also those old 4E books like Fighters and I think it's 4E, right? That they did those that those
3 the Complete Fighters book.
yeah. Was that
That was
3.5?
all. That was AD&D. It was second edition.
Was it okay? But
Yeah, but
it would just
there's still
be
people today on message boards and Discord saying it would be so neat if this fifth edition included some splat books, and it's just it's just a good feeling if like we're sitting here talking about the player's guide, and Aidyn's like looking forward to the DMG as a player. So what I really like is I found it weird that in the 2014 edition, if you wanted to play a certain there was if you want to play the birds, I'm losing it here.
Eric Okra.
No, the Angel type, the Fallen.
Azamar?
Asimar. Yeah.
Asimar. You needed the DMG for that. Well, I'm a player.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to go buy the DMG.
Mhm.
I think it'd be neat to kind of like I usually play fighters, paladins, and druids.
Right.
So I'm going to buy fighter, paladin, and druid book.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're going to have somebody out there that's a completionist who wants their bookshelf full, and you're going to get the person that plays them all the time, and they're going to buy it. And over time, I'll probably own all of them.
Yeah.
But it's cool to just show up at the table with just my book. I've gone as far as to think about like how I could craft my own.
Yeah, and that's why I think a good fighter book, a fully good splat book, would also not only give you good subclasses, but also, how can you flavor your fighter to
Tactic,
be, give me
insight.
some stuff that, and what kind of fighter would be this kind of fighter, and maybe
And then if Wizards wanted to have some real fun with it, I mean, they could get like third parties also to write some subclasses, like Kobold Press. I'm sure would be willing to write one for the book, or other places, like to getting them some recognition as well. As long as they give the recognition while also working on the book together with third parties. I mean, just branching out, especially after they cut ties so much the past few years.
And I think they're bringing that.
I think networking and making yourself positively out there with these types of books would be really good.
Well, I think that's why they've allowed them in. They're putting them on D&D Beyond. I think Toma Beasts and other third party stuff has been on Humblewood. So they're allowing for more third parties to come into D&D Beyond. I think it's a great idea. So we'll see. It's 8:00, guys. Aidyn, thank you so much for joining us, and we got to have you on more often because that was wonderful.
Maybe I'll be back. Maybe I'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about the rest of this if you guys are talking about that.
Well, yeah, we'll have to talk to maybe we'll have to tell Brooke it's just it's not working out for us.
No. Bring Brooke into it. Brooke will have some good stuff.
We love you, Brooke. We love you.
Yeah.
We can split the screen 4 ways.
We can split the 4 ways easily. We can do 4 ways.
We could get 8 people on here.
Anyway, thank you guys. Guys, check us out in 2 weeks. Make sure to check out Red Dirt D&D. Check out Mysteries of Beatrix and Red Dirt Outlaws and the brand new Wayfinder Legends. Make sure and check that out wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for joining us on Plausible Deniability. I'm Michael Cross.
Johnny Payne.
And Aidyn Cross.
We'll see you guys.
See ya.